November 4th, 1922. Egypt. Archaeologist Howard Carter had been digging in the Valley of the Kings for years. He had found almost nothing. His sponsor, Lord Carnarvon, was about to pull the funding. Then a worker's foot struck something hard in the sand. A step, then another, then a sealed door. Carter sent a telegram to Carnarvon. At last have made wonderful discovery in valley. 3 weeks later, Carter made a small hole in the door and held a candle through it. Carnarvon, standing behind him, asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter's answer became the most famous sentence in the history of archaeology. "Yes, wonderful things." He had found the only intact Royal Egyptian tomb ever discovered. Everything was exactly as it had been left 300 years before. Tutankhamun became pharaoh around 1332 BC. He was approximately 9 years old. He ruled for about 9 years. He died around age 18. For most of history, he was a minor pharaoh, barely remembered. And that may be exactly why his tomb survived intact. The more famous pharaohs, Ramesses II, Thutmose III, had spectacular tombs that were targeted by grave robbers in antiquity. Tutankhamun's tomb was small, tucked under debris, almost invisible. It had been robbed twice in antiquity, but quickly resealed before significant damage was done. And then 300 years of silence. His importance today is entirely archaeological. What makes Tutankhamun extraordinary is not who he was in life. It's what survived of his death. The tomb had 4 chambers. Inside, over 500 objects, chariots, thrones, statues, jewelry, games, wine, food. The pharaohs believed they would need all of these things in the afterlife, and at the center of it all, Tutankhamun himself. 3 nested coffins, the innermost made of solid gold, 110 kilograms of it. Inside the gold coffin, his mummified body wearing the most recognizable face in Egyptian history, the golden death mask. 2 kilograms of solid gold, inlaid with blue glass and lapis lazuli. It had sat on his face, undisturbed, for 300 years. When Carter lifted it from the mummy, it was the first human eyes to see that face since 1323 BC. The discovery took 10 years to fully catalog. Every object was photographed, measured, and recorded by hand. It remains the most complete royal Egyptian assemblage ever found. Shortly after the tomb was opened, Lord Carnarvon, Carter's sponsor, died. He was 57. He died of blood poisoning from an infected mosquito bite. The press went wild. The curse of the pharaoh. Over the following years, several people connected to the excavation died. The curse theory spread globally. The actual evidence of the 58 people present when the tomb was opened, only 8 died within 12 years. The others lived to old age. Carter himself, who spent more time in the tomb than anyone, died in 1939. He was 64. A study published in the British Medical Journal found no statistically significant difference in survival rates between those who entered the tomb and those who didn't. There is no curse. There is, however, an interesting scientific postscript. Ancient tombs can contain mold spores and bacteria that may be harmful to modern lungs. Not a curse, but not nothing either. Tutankhamun died at about 18 years old. For decades, the leading theory was murder. Specifically, his advisor Ai and General Horemheb were suspects. Both succeeded him as pharaoh. Both had motive. X-ray analysis in the 1960s showed bone fragments inside the skull, possibly from a blow to the head. Murder seemed plausible, but CT scanning in 2005 told a different story. The skull fragments were likely caused by the mummification process, or post-death damage to the body. The real causes of death were probably a combination of a severely broken leg that became infected, malaria, and the consequences of severe inbreeding. DNA analysis revealed that his parents were brother and sister. He had multiple genetic diseases, a clubfoot, and a bone disease that made walking painful. He likely needed a cane, and dozens of canes were found in his tomb. He wasn't murdered. He was a fragile young man undone by his own genetics and bad luck. Tutankhamun's father was Akhenaten, one of the most controversial pharaohs in Egyptian history. Akhenaten abolished the entire Egyptian religious pantheon and replaced it with a single god, the sun disk Aten. This was effectively the world's first experiment with monotheism. It was deeply unpopular with the priestly class, who lost enormous power and wealth. When Tutankhamun became pharaoh at 9 years old, the powerful advisors around him reversed everything his father had done. The old gods were restored, the old temples reopened. Akhenaten's name was erased from monuments. Tutankhamun, originally named Tutankhaten, changed his own name to honor the old god Amun. He was a child king being used as a political instrument. The real rulers were his advisors Ai and Horemheb. When Tutankhamun died, Ai quickly married his widow and became pharaoh. The boy king was a transitional figure in a political battle much larger than himself. The artifacts from Tutankhamun's tomb traveled the world in a landmark exhibition in the 1970s. The Treasures of Tutankhamun exhibition visited 8 U.S. cities between 1976 and 1979. Over 8 million Americans attended. It remains one of the most visited museum exhibitions in history. Today, the artifacts are housed at the Grand Egyptian Museum in Giza, opened in 2023. It is the largest archaeological museum in the world, built specifically to house Egypt's treasures. For the first time, all of Tutankhamun's 500 artifacts are displayed together. The golden death mask, which has left Egypt only once, is there. The solid gold coffin, which was controversially taken to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, was returned to Egypt in 2021. After a long international dispute, Egypt has been clear about its position. Its heritage belongs in Egypt. The conversation about repatriation of ancient artifacts is ongoing worldwide. Tutankhamun's tomb is at the center of it. Despite being the most studied mummy in history, Tutankhamun still holds secrets. Scans of the tomb walls in 2015 suggested the presence of hidden chambers behind the plastered walls. The hypothesis, Nefertiti, Akhenaten's wife and possibly Tutankhamun's mother, might be buried in a hidden room adjacent to Tutankhamun's tomb. Further radar studies have given contradictory results. The Egyptian government has been cautious about opening any walls without certainty. The question of a hidden chamber remains officially open. Additionally, Tutankhamun's mummy was damaged during the original excavation, the 1960s X-ray analysis, and subsequent study. Some information that might have been recoverable is now gone. Science doesn't always arrive in time. And in a Valley of the Kings that still has unexplored sections, new discoveries remain possible. 100 years after Howard Carter said wonderful things, the valley is still not fully known. It keeps its secrets carefully, and it occasionally gives one up.